So yeah, we can just lock it off on that practice. We'll see what they do
To get
as far
to
as,
the last three?
Yeah, like yesterday.
we'll widen out as they come up to the
Bring
mic.
them there. I'll
Keep it wide, and when I say wide,
Is that just the
it's
mobile?
enough for the
Yeah.
people.
Get more
When do you wanna let
information
people in,
from
Eric?
them, and then we
Five
have
shots,
another
wider.
We could probably start letting them in.
It's whatever the whole
Now?
group is, right?
And then
We'll leave it
Are we
there.
gonna send me on the door? A lot of those are all the candidates.
so we'll have the
I know.
time.
There'll be a question asked that each one has to answer.
Yeah.
So once the question's asked,
Are you meeting with the
then,
Yeah.
again, we're just shooting this like we're on air all the time.
With-
So as soon as the question's asked,
Without interview.
then we'll slowly, they'll probably say
Okay, so
so and
just
so will
going
be
through the
first.
first.
And hopefully we'll know
Which
whether
is
that's
like-
right or left. If we're not sure, then I'll just hold it until they start talking. Once they start talking, we can assume it's that person on air, and we just go to them. Yep, hold it there, and then the rest of them should be all, okay, next person
You don't wanna, like,
over,
lose your
next
phone or-
person over, next person over, and then you just kind of follow back and forth.
Do I have binders?
That way we're not going,
One
like,
inch.
okay, who's
We're
on?
gonna have the bigger ones, that's all they had.
Yeah.
You don't like them,
So
I'll take
on
them
air
back.
with one camera, that's
You don't take them back.
best to be avoided.
So is that what
I
they're
don't
gonna do?
have
They're gonna have them
Oh, that's too bad.
for 5 nights?
Do you get a lot? I need some binders too.
Sometimes five,
Did you get a lot
sometimes
of
two, sometimes four. Depends on the, you know, what
Yeah.
school district.
No, they're just for the judging.
a few minutes ago.
What a good man.
Oh, it's close by, so.
But it'll always be a group of that kind of number.
Zoom
So we'll be able to see
challenge.
after watching.
Challenge, why? I love it there.
Coming up, we widen out a little more.
It's huge, it's
It's only
busy.
3 or 7 up.
Oh,
Right. I know, not this time of day. Perfect right
Well,
now.
I'd like to
perfect.
go in
Walk right up.
7 and 8:30. That's my favorite.
Walk right up, no problem.
Okay, yeah.
So make you stress that too.
What do you guys want to do then?
So
Do
we're-
I need to do anything?
Oh, we have to just ask Aaron.
No. The biggest issue yesterday was explaining to people how pigeonhole works and getting them to write down questions if they don't have. A lot of the older crowds. So yesterday, none of them, as they were coming in, I was trying to explain pigeonhole to them. but-
You can tilt the mic on its
Okay.
pivot. Other than that, do not touch the mic. Please, mic, stand away from the mic.
Can I assign you to that side for
The mic.
if there are people who are gonna be writing questions on paper? If they choose a question, just go to the page and grab it and drop it off to me at the moderator.
Sure.
And there's a
Paul's gonna do this stuff.
you approach the mic, other than that. And it's like our back three, Paul's split center. So don't go to the far three, split center. Just for your.
I've got an attendance thing I'll do with them. We're gonna meet them in like.
So are we letting people in now, Aaron, or what's going on?
Sure.
All right, he's on board. So what we'll do,
Are you gonna read?
oh,
I'm gonna,
We're in
I want to see it unfold. Yeah. And then I'm-
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So, one of these is probably blank. One of these has to be.
Anything, are we good?
I'm good.
That's
Everything looks good. That's good.
On the website, I think.
Yeah.
That's sort of probably near, that's there.
We're still opening doors at 6:30 or what are you?
Nice, nice little
You got it from me.
Yeah, okay.
This one should be blank.
Good evening. Good evening. Are we on? Great. Good evening and welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out this evening. My name is Janine Davies, and I am the chair of the Tri-City Chamber of Commerce. And we're thrilled to have you here this evening. This is actually the first time that the Chamber has done this sort of event specifically for the school board. So we ask a little for your indulgence. We're using a new technology called Pigeonhole. And my colleague is going to share with you and moderate the event, and he'll explain to you the rules. The importance of the school district debate this particular year is important for us because we believe that education system, the way that it's structured with the school district, is actually a business. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but the operating budget of the school district is roughly about $128 million on a given year. I'm not done. Capital budget, I knew they're all going to jump up. The capital budget is probably another 100 to 150 million. So altogether, it could be anywhere from 230 to 280, depending on the capital approval. Is that right? Operating is 280. Okay, so this is a big budget. There are 4,000 employees roughly in the Tri-City School District 43. Just to give context, I believe the city of Coco has 400 employees and an operating budget of about 90 million. So this $250 million budget is a significant one, and we think it's important that you have an opportunity to actually discuss that. So I'm going to hand it over to Brian Hyman. He is our second vice chair, and he's going to be the moderator this evening, so he's actually going to be sitting over there. So if you have questions, Paige and myself will be running around picking up the questions. We're going to ask that the questions are to all candidates, not to individual candidates. Okay? Thank you, and then enjoy.
All right, good evening, everyone. We started a little bit early, which hopefully means we'll end a little bit early, and we'll have time for personal discussion out in the lobby. Before, and by way of introduction, what I want to do is give a little bit of context to what we're trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to start with an introduction provided by the BC School Trustees Association. British Columbia is a large province with many communities, each having different priorities, needs, and unique educational requirements. British Columbians elect their boards of education to improve student achievement according to the diverse needs of these communities. As locally elected representatives, the trustees on these boards best understand their respective communities' particular strengths, challenges, and demands. Trustees engage their communities in building and maintaining a school system that reflects local priorities, values, and expectations. School trustees listen to their communities, guide the work of their school district, and set plans, policies, and the annual budget. Reflecting the strength of local representation, boards report back to their communities on how students are doing. Boards are directly accountable to the people they serve. So I want to focus on that accountability piece. That's why we're here today. That's why we're putting this on. So what we've got is two levels of accountability. We've got the chamber questions, which we'll be presenting, as well as you can see up there, we'll be using a technology called Pigeonhole Live, I should say. So what you can do is use your smartphone, tablet, or anything else you may have with you to log into www.pigeonhole.at and use the passcode chamber as you see up there on the screen, and you can enter your questions and or vote for other questions that have already been entered, and those that may be posed to the candidates, and you'll see them coming up on the screen when we move into that stage. Yeah, Aaron, you want to switch you to that stage? As Jadid said, I'm Brian Heidman. I'm going to be moderating tonight's debate or discussion, if you will. I'm director of the Trustees Chamber of Commerce and chair of the Public Policy Committee. Today's debate and discussion is webcast live at www.tricitieschamber.com. And with that, if you don't have access to the internet, one more thing, there is still a level of accountability that you can provide, and that you can raise your hand and one of our volunteers will come around and grab any piece of paper that you may have and you've written a question on. So we'll quickly go over the format for tonight's meeting. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to introduce themselves and their platform. Candidates are organized based on electoral district and alphabetically. Next, we'll alternate between questions from the chamber and questions from the public via the Pigeonhole Live that we just discussed. Candidates will have a maximum of 45 seconds to respond. Candidates, are you ready? Okay. So first we'll hear from our 4 Coquitlam candidates. Voters will elect 4 of the next candidates. We'll hear from our Coquitlam candidates, big part. Voters will elect 4 of the next candidates. Gail Alty, if you'll start us off, please.
Good evening. Why should you vote for me, Gail Alty, for Coquitlam trustee? I have supported student success in Coquitlam School District for 31 years as a strong parent volunteer leader, a school secretary, education assistant, Orton Gillingham tutor, and your trustee. I have never been tied to partisan politics in all that time, and I can make difficult decisions that are not popular. I left Coquitlam because my husband Dave has a business in Victoria. I paid my own way to commute and am here for every meeting our board has, even if that means 7 days a week. My commitment is second to none. Coquitlam is still very much my community. My children and families are here, my good friends are here, and I support local businesses and events. I do this because I care and want to continue advocating for our students in our school district. We have an excellent district to build upon. Please vote for Gail Alty for Coquitlam School Trustee. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gail. Rob Otto, if you'd like to step up next. Modest, big part. Thank you.
Hi, or sorry, when, do you give me the cue to start, or do I just?
Whenever you go, then the time will start.
All right, good evening. My name is Rob Bottas. I'm a longtime Coquitlam resident. I've lived here since 1978. I worked in the Tri-Cities as the life skills worker with development challenged adults, and I've been active in the scouting community for over 20 years as both a leader and a volunteer. One of the reasons I'm running is I think we have a lack of leadership on our board. The last 2 years, we've seen cuts to services to children as well as layoffs to both workers and teachers, while the board has given us those pay raises. I think it shows a lack of leadership, a lack of respect for both the people in the system, this building morale, and I believe in leading by example. I'm a BCG member, I'm in the community, I care. On November 15th, vote for someone who will lead by example, vote for Rob Bottas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. Could we actually, just as a point of information, can we go to the middle mic from this point forward, please? Carol Cahoon, would you like to step next?
Actually, no.
Welcome everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Carol Cahoon, and I've lived in the district for over 18 years. Both my children are currently in school district 43. My son's in grade 7 and my daughter's in grade 9. And I have been volunteering with the parent advisory committees, school planning committees, district parent advisory council, and elected chairperson of the Montessori Society for 2 terms. I'm running for school trustee because I want to bring greater fiscal accountability and a reduction of the current deficit. I'm looking forward to connecting with teachers, principals, support staff, other students in the system, and connecting with the community so that they can give me their ideas and concerns that I can bring to the board. Please support me on November 15th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. Next, Chuck Dennison.
Thank you, Brian. How am I doing? Oh, there we are. That's a little better. Chuck Dennison, Coquitlam School Trustee candidate. I've been around doing a few things, and most recently, I'm the president of the district PAC. But I have a background in teaching. So I know what it's like to be a teacher in front of a classroom. But I didn't stay in teaching. I found that I could make more money elsewhere. So I entered the corporate world as a project manager, and now I'm a business owner. But I still have a deep passion for education. I have a daughter now in grade 8, So I see the product of education coming home to us every day. Education has evolved, it's become more complex. We're having changes to the curriculum, changes to evaluation, and the skills that kids need when they graduate are completely different than how they were when I went through the system. And I see that in the kind of assignments that they have. Vote for Chuck Dennison on November 15th.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hello, my name is Barb Hodgson. I moved my family to Coquitlam in 1979 because of the school system and the excellent reputation of school to District 43, which it continues to maintain. Recently, however, I watched as our school district reported an ever-increasing deficit. Here's what I believe we need: an effective and transparent finance committee that reports out to the full board at every board meeting. A whistleblower policy so staff have a safe mechanism to alert someone if they believe a harmful act has been committed. Additional lobbying of the provincial government to deal with our funding challenges. I was a school trustee from 1996 until 2002, spent 3 years as board chair and 2 years as chair of the Audit and Finance Committee, and I continue to serve on the Student Services Advisory Committee for the district. My name is Barb Hobson, and I'm asking for your support on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Next is Young Shu.
Hello, my name is Johnson Lo, and I'm running a school candidate for school trustee. I have been living in Coquitlam with 2 of my children for the last 17 years. And one of my children already graduated from grade 12 last summer, and one is in grade 10 now. The reason I'm here is I see the school budget deficit. We all had heard that last year that we have an $8 million deficit, and then we see the second year is $12 million deficit, and this year, $14 million. So what's gonna happen for the next year? And that's what I want to do, something that no family can run on the deficit, and then no business can run in that way, and definitely is not in our education system. So if I get elected, I'll work with people and fix the problem.
Thank you, Johnson. Next is Sherry O'Neill.
Hello, and thank you for taking the time to come out tonight. I am Sherry O'Neill, and I have lived in Coquitlam for 16 years. I am married and have 2 children, ages 7 and 11. I have the time to commit to being an involved and effective trustee. I am in touch and connected with the parent community. I started attending school board meetings in early 2012, and I attended every school board meeting in 2013-14. The $13.4 million deficit is a huge concern to me, as I'm sure it is to you. The deficit has led to major cuts to support workers, but no cuts to management. The cuts to support workers affect all of our children. This is unacceptable. For more information, go to sherryo'neill.ca.
Thank you, Sherry. Next is Larry Ryan.
Hello, my name is Larry Ryan. I'm running for school board trustee in Coquitlam. With just a minute here, I'm not going to stand up here and try and sell you on my accolades or my community service. You can check that out on my website, Larry Ryan for coquitlamtrustee.com. I want to tell you a little bit about what sets me apart from the other candidates. You know, most of the people are going to talk about accountability and talk about how we can have advocacy and be financially responsible. And those are all very important things. However, what sets me apart is that I'm actually a teacher. I have nearly 20 years of experience teaching, and so I can come with the experience and the knowledge of that background. So I'm not just a person who is maybe in small business or things like that. I come with the education business. I have a master's degree in education, and the last time we had somebody elected to a position that didn't know what they're doing in education was 2001, Minister of Education, Christy Clark.
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Diane Sowden and I'm running for school trustee. Why do I want to be a trustee? It's because I know your community and I know the school district. I have lived in Coquitlam for over 30 years and in Port Moody for over 7. I owned a business here that ran for 25 years and employed many students in this district. Since
Diane, if you
1995.
can talk into the mic for us. Sorry.
Since 1995, I've been the executive director of a nonprofit that I founded, Children's Street Society, which provides services to youth and families in our district. Due to my role, I have spent thousands of hours in the classrooms over the last 19 years. I have 1 child attending school presently and 7 who have received their public education in School District 43. I've always been a voice for an educational system that meets the needs of all learners, which I will continue to follow through with that as a passion and support the learning beyond boundaries.
Okay, thank you, Diane.
Vote for Diane Sowden.
Very well.
Hello, my name is Jerry Wallace, and I'm seeking your support for re-election. I have been involved as a volunteer in many community activities throughout the 37 years my husband and I have lived in Coquitlam. I have a reputation for listening and welcoming community input, both in education, and I'm passionate about students having the opportunities to learn and succeed. I believe parents, teachers, schools, and community play a very important role in making this happen. My priorities for the next 4 years are the best use and fairest allocation of taxpayers' dollars towards the classroom, equipping students with skills to succeed in a changing world, and reducing costs by sharing new school, community buildings, parks, and fields. I have and will continue to advocate for a new and more equitable allocation of funds from the province. I would be honored to serve another 4 years as your school trustee. Please vote for Jerry Wallace. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next is Jody Wickens.
My name is Jody Wickens. I live in Coquitlam with my husband and 2 wonderful children. 4 years ago, my son entered the public education system. I quickly began to see how many of our students are being underserved by our system. I decided to run for school board trustee because I felt disappointed with the bureaucracy in our district and the disconnect that I felt from our current board and the communities that they were elected to serve. School District 43 needs renewal and change. We need trustees that have the energy, passion, and determination to stand up for public education. We need trustees that are connected to their communities, listening to them, learning about the issues, and acting to hold management accountable. I'm excited to be a part of the change that our district desperately needs and our students deserve. On November 15th, vote for change and elect me, Jody Wickens.
Thank you, Jody. Next, we move on to our Port Coquitlam candidates. Voters will elect 2 of the following candidates. We'll start with Liam Cochran.
Good evening. My name is Liam Coquitlam. I'm asking for your vote to represent Port Coquitlam on the SD43 school board. I believe that I can effectively represent you as a school board trustee because I have the time, energy, vision, and experience that allow me to make a positive difference for Port Coquitlam students and all SD43 students. I've been a BC resident for all of my 50 years and a Port Coquitlam resident for the past 25 years. And I'm a parent of a SD43 graduate and a current middle school student who will still be in Port Coquitlam Public Schools for the coming 4-year term. I've experienced the public schools firsthand for those 14 years, and I'm seriously concerned about the impact of budget cuts on student learning. Besides being a parent, I also have a business degree and the unique experience of managing the business departments of the 2 largest school districts in the province, Surrey and Vancouver. And for those 8 years, I raised literally millions of dollars of non-governmental revenues for the school districts to supplement student activities and programs.
Next, we'll have Chris King.
I think I can do this. My name is Chris King, and I am running for trustee in Port Coquitlam. I'm a retired teacher with 37 years working in the profession, and all that time I've worked at every school in Port Coquitlam, either presenting workshops on Professional Development Day, working with teachers and administrators to solve difficult issues, or supporting school-wide initiatives to improve the learning in the classroom. I know their schools, I know their strengths and their challenges, and the effects of chronic underfunding has had on the programs, the resources, and the services to these students and families in this community. I've established a long, strong working relationship with the parents, teachers, principals, and community support workers in the schools, and that relationship continues today. I'm a strong advocate for public education, and I work hard to help create safe and vibrant schools in Port Coquitlam and across this district. I will be an effective trustee and a strong voice at the table for Port Coquitlam because of my commitment to this community, the positive working relationships I've established, and my knowledge and understanding of education and the workings in this district.
Thank you,
November 14th, vote Chris King.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. Next is Judy Shura.
Hello, I'm Judy Shura, your current Port Coquitlam representative on the Coquitlam Board of Education. By voting for me, you will have a fiscally responsible voice for public education. With me, you get a businesswoman who is connected to our community that has a proven track record of finding grant funding and lobbying Victoria. Being a school trustee is more than just attending local school board meetings. It's about being engaged with the community and the public, knowing where pockets of poverty exist and focusing and assisting in these needy areas. We have just rebuilt 2 schools in Port Coquitlam, 1 more is needed. I will be lobbying strongly for replacement of Minnetonka Middle and work for year-round programs that Sewalt and I have. We need to develop a financial literacy program, and we need to get our librarians and the speech and language pathologists back in our school. I know the needs of my community. For a strong, independent, and experienced voice, please re-elect Judy Shura on November the 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next, we'll welcome Michael Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Michael Thomas, and I'm running for Port Coquitlam School Trustee. I believe POCO kids need a strong advocate. As a parent of 3 current SD43 students and a longtime POCO resident, I'm motivated to run for the right reasons, because I want to see a brighter future for our students. Our kids deserve a fair and balanced school board that reflects the needs and priorities of today's families. I'm a dedicated volunteer with a history of success in Port Coquitlam, I've served on the May Day and Spirit Week task forces, municipal standing committees, including Smart Growth and Transportation and Public Works. And I've also served on the board of directors for Cocoa Heritage, chaired the fundraising and technology committees, and helped spearhead the new Cocoa Museum in Lee Square. As the founder of a computer service company, I have the business background and technical know-how to lead our schools in the 21st century. Years of budget cuts to maintenance and student support has left many of our schools crumbling, and it's our students who are falling through the cracks. Cocoa kids deserve safe, well-funded, well-supported.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
We will now hear from the Port Moody candidates. Voters will elect two of the following. Next, first off is Melissa Hines.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Hines, and I'm seeking re-election as your school trustee in Port Moody. I'm a fourth-term school trustee, first elected in 2002, and I've been the board chair for 11 years. I offer you trusted, proven leadership. My work demonstrates my commitment and dedication to our students, our Port Moody community, and SD43. In the next term, I will continue to advocate and work for changes to the public education funding formula, new capital projects and seismic projects that make our schools safe for learning, making students our priority, and planning educational growth with our Learning Without Boundaries vision, making informed and responsible fiscal decisions that maximize resources to classrooms, and to continue to work collaboratively and respectfully with all of our stakeholder partners. My experience has taught me to listen to a balance of input. I know how to make informed, responsible decisions and accountable to you for them. For more information and bio, please visit tricityvotes.com for a full bio. I offer you trusted proven leadership.
Melissa.
Please elect me. Thank you.
Next, we'll welcome Jackson.
All right, we're halfway there. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeanette Jackson. I am your Port Moody candidate for school trustee. I am a mother, entrepreneur, and volunteer. I've lived in Port Moody for over 12 years. I made the decision to run early in 2014 because I would like to be your proactive leader and present a new passion towards education in School District 43. As a mother, I engage teachers. I engage parents. I'm on the path and I see the needs our schools have. As an entrepreneur, I have the expertise to manage large budgets and work through complex strategic planning processes so that we can set clear, achievable priorities for our district. As a volunteer, I'm on the Port Moody Police Department Board of Directors. I coach soccer. I'm engaged with your community. Over the last few years, we've seen many challenges, from fiscal irresponsibility through to a breakdown in our culture.
Sorry, I hate to cut you off, but
Thank you. Vote for Jeanette.
next is Charlie Lewis.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Liu. I'm running for Port Moody. I'm a father of two young girls, the oldest just in kindergarten at Glen Eyre Elementary. I'm a professional engineer because I feel that the voices, the parents, and the families with children in school in Port Moody are not being represented. I'm running a self-funded and an independent campaign so that I can be that voice and represent the people of Port Moody, Allen School District. Trustees and the school board need to do a better job of communicating to our communities. Many people have very little knowledge of what happens behind the doors of the boardroom. Even though that public meetings, we're not doing a good job of reaching out. We need to engage our communities so that they know what's happening in their school system, what the challenges that the school system faces, and get their feedback so we know how to move forward. My name is Charlie Liu. I'm running for school trustee in Port Moody. Please vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Next is Lisa Clark.
Hello, my name is Lisa Park, and I'm running to be your trustee in the Port Moody School Board. I'd like to thank the organizers for tonight's event and everyone for attending. I'm a school teacher who values public education. I immigrated from South Korea, graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Physical Education and a teaching certificate from U of A. I volunteer my time at the Port Moody Rotary Club and also serves as director of the boards of the New Vista Society and Korean Canadian College Foundation. I have personally visited over 5,000 homes to hear directly from our Port Moody community at their doorsteps. But they wish to speak in their school board. It's time for new ideas and a fresh voice. If elected, I'll work hard and smart to achieve better fiscal accountability, safer and healthier learning environments, modernize classrooms, and improve access to programs and services. My name is Lisa Park, and I ask a vote of confidence on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Alexander Peter Swistak, and I'm running because I'm concerned about the erosion of our public education system. For too long, teachers have been laid off. We've been seeing support staff workers being laid off. It's been 12 years, and it's time for a change. I'm concerned about divisive politics jeopardizing our students' futures. We need to build relationships between all stakeholders. And as an independent candidate, that's what I am pleased to do. Now, we need to make sure that we have strong advocacy. This needs to be a full-time job, not a mere add-on to a person's busy schedule. Our students deserve more. They deserve someone who will put themselves on the line and give of themselves to see the betterment of our public education system. Since day one, I as a young person have said, we all benefit from a strong and stable public education system. I do not have children, but we all enjoy the benefits, inclusiveness, productivity. Please do vote Alexander Peter Swistak. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Steve Watkins, unfortunately, is unable to attend this evening, but sends his regrets. We will now move on to the candidates from Anmore Balcara. Voters will elect one of the following candidates. First off, it is Holly Butterfield.
Good evening. I'm Holly Butterfield from Anmore Balcara. As a trustee, I believe the skills you need to be effective are leadership around the board table, the ability to work within a large multi-union and non-union environment, the ability to work within a politicized and publicized environment, work with 5 jurisdictions to make up a board, the ability to help families to find answers to questions, concerns, and disputes that occur on our board or within the district. Be financially astute and experienced working with large and small budgets. I'm a former banker, I have those skills. Understand the often sensitive nature of information that comes before you and know how to keep that information confidential. Understand the big and small picture when it comes to educational issues. Be politically independent. I belong to no party federally or provincially. Be able to work to create educational solutions that work for our district, our students, our employees, and our taxpayers. Have integrity. Be ethical. Be dedicated to supporting the district and especially the
Thank you, Holly.
Thanks very much. Vote for me on the 15th.
Oh dear. Here we go. Good evening. My name is Gwen Shute, and my community has lots of information about me. I'm a longtime resident since 1968. And what I want to say to you tonight is how very important it is for business owners and non-parents to understand the challenges that the school district is facing. I had the privilege of being one of the youngest school trustees elected here. I won't mention the time. And I'm probably one of the oldest that's running for election. But when I ran, we had the opportunity to actually do the job. We built this lighthouse district, and I want to put the light back in it. We are the only jurisdiction that has a huge responsibility, but no authority or autonomy to deliver on those promises. We do not have the power to tax, and we need to look at that.
Thank you. Next is Carrie Palmer Isaac.
Hi, my name is Carrie Palmer Isaac, and I'm currently a municipal councillor for the village of Anmore. The end of this term presents me with a window of opportunity. In one hand, I have 6 years on council that have given me valuable skills as an elected official in policy, strategic planning, and budgeting. On the other hand, I have experience in schools and community as Anmore PAC Chair, Moody Middle PAC Chair, and 6 years ago, I represented a small group of motivated PAC Chairs wanting a school in their community. Tonight, I stand here as the PAC Chair of New Eagle Mountain Middle. I'm practiced in advocating, representing, lobbying, even begging to fund community needs and student needs. As an official, I build budgets using your taxpayer dollars. I'm regularly questioned. SD43 budget faces challenges, and we all have questions. I'm eager to combine the skills I've acquired on council with the 13 years I have spent volunteering in schools to take on a new role as school trustee. Thank you.
Celia Chang sends her regrets that she was not able to make it today for health reasons. That concludes the opening statement portion of today's discussion. We'll now enter the question and answer portion of the night. Candidates will approach, we will alternate between questions prepared by the Chamber of Commerce and questions voted to the top of the list on our Pigeonhole Live platform, which you see on the screen. You can still ask questions of our candidates by going to pigeonhole.at and entering the event code chamber. Ask questions and vote for other questions. Questions with the highest amount of votes will be asked to candidates. If you do not have access to the internet, you can submit the questions, as we mentioned before, using the papers that were supplied and flagging down a volunteer or just raising your hand with the paper. Our first 4 candidates speaking will be Gail Alty, Rob Bottas, Carol Cahoon, and Chuck Dennison from Coquitlam. Would you make your way up to the front, please? As they're doing that, what I would note is that the timer is at the back there. We are going to try and stick as strictly as possible to the 45 seconds that are allotted for each speaker. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. So again, if we stick to the 45 seconds, I will cut you off if you don't mind. If the questions are becoming repetitive on the Pigeonhole site, what we reserve the right here to move on to a different subject. For the crowd, some of the subjects may get covered more than once, but just remember there are different speakers that are answering it, so we're just trying to get a breadth of information from them. So we will start with a chamber-prepared question, which will be answered first by Gail Alty, and that is, what technical skills, experience, or professional expertise do you bring to the trustee role, supporting you to work in the collaborative environment of School District 43?
Technical skills. I'm on Facebook, I'm learning that. I'm trying with Twitter, it doesn't work so well. My skills are a result of my long history of volunteering and working and being a trustee in our school district. I'm aware of our technology department and the way we're going, which is very innovative. And I think our district is a lighthouse district in that area. We receive regular reports from our staff, and I'm up to date on those. And I'm willing to learn whatever I need to learn as we move forward in our district.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gail. Rob Bottas, I'll move to you next. Do you want me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yes, absolutely. What technical skills, experience, or professional expertise do you bring to the trustee role, supporting you to work in the collaborative environment of School District 43?
Well, living in Coquitlam in the past 20 years, various volunteer jobs I've had, volunteer activities as a scout leader. I've learned to work collaboratively with people. I've discovered that I'm a people person. I actually enjoy talking to people, listening to them. My line of work is a life skills work with development challenged adults. I have a strong degree in empathy. Technical skills, not so much. I'm not a computer person. I hate working in a cubicle. I love talking to people. That's why I'm here. I love interacting with people. I love helping people. And that's what I bring to the table, to build consensus and to lead by example.
Excellent. Thanks, Rob. What I would say, just as a general note, I've noticed this in some of the other debates, the candidates want to look out towards the crowd, not so much at me. That may help. But up to you. Carol, do you want me to repeat the question? Yes, okay. So what technical skills, experience, or professional expertise do you bring to the trustee role, supporting you to work in the collaborative environment of School District 43?
Thank you for repeating the question. Well, first off, I'm a mom, so I'm good at management. I'm also an accountant. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I know how to deal with numbers. And when I was chairperson of the Montessori Society, I had a group of parents that were volunteers, so I couldn't hire or fire them. I had to actually work with whoever was in that room. So it was really taught me about myself and how I had to learn to collaborate and take the strengths and the weaknesses from people and use them for the right things. I'm also technically into Facebook and Twitter, but it's not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather be out on the doorstep knocking and talking to all the people out in the community. So I like to engage and make sure that people are all on the same page.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
And Chuck, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, I think we've covered it enough. How am I doing? Well, I've mentioned that I've taught, that I've done project management, and that I'm a business owner. So there are definitely some skills that are pertinent there. But also, I've been a member of Toastmasters now for 29 years, believe it or not. I started when I was pretty small. And through that, I've developed team building skills. In fact, that culminated in my receiving a provincial award for exemplifying Toastmasters ideals. It's an award I'm very proud of. My skills in team building and joint advocacy should be very valuable on the board.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chuck. We will now move back over to Gail, and we will switch gears and go to one of the public questions, which for those in the crowd, you'll see up on the screen behind the candidates. So Gail, if elected to office, will you seek to adopt LGBTQ policy or regulation like the sexual orientation and gender identities policies adopted by Vancouver and Burnaby school boards?
I was part of the board who initially adopted our policy 18, which is violence, intimidation, and anti-harassment policy, which was put together with a lot of input from our education partners and the community as a whole. It was done way back in, I think it was 96, but it covers a lot of issues of intimidation and harassment generally, but it could be time for us to take a look at that, or the board that's elected to revisit that policy. We do that occasionally. We involve all our partners in revisiting policies as well, so it could be timely to look at that and make a new decision as a new board.
Thank you, Gail. Rob.
As someone with Tourette syndrome who was bullied mercilessly in school back in the 80s, I only wish we had policies for anti-bullying and tolerance in our system when I went to school. I'm in favor of any policy that promotes tolerance for children, but more importantly, why aren't you? I think there's a hidden agenda with this question. I know there's stuff going on in Burnaby along these lines, and I think it's disgusting. Children are killing themselves because they don't feel valued and they feel left out, they feel bullied. Any policy that saves a child's life and makes them
Well, I'd have to brush up on the policy. I would want to discuss it with the board and see where the policy, like Gail had mentioned, was left off, and move forward with updating it to the current time and what's happening in the world today. I was also bullied as a child. I was burned, and people would call me funny names like Scarface and stuff like that. So I can relate to being bullied. I don't believe that it's
my mind's moving faster than my mouth, so I would like to look into it further so that I can also discuss it with the community and find out what everyone's thoughts are on it.
Thank you, Carol. And Chuck?
Well, this is a topic that has been bounced around. I know it's been on the agenda at DCC PAC over the last couple of years, and it's controversial in Vancouver as well. It's on a broader scale, it's about accepting people's differences. And I think in general, we do a fairly decent job with that in our school district, but we need to address the gay and lesbian aspect of that more directly, and the resources, make the resources available in the counseling offices and the youth workers, and make sure that they know how to use those resources effectively.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Now we will cycle back to Gail again for the second of our pigeonhole questions, and that is, bring it up on screen here. So it's, do you have children who are currently enrolled in School District 43?
I have over 30,000 children. Each and every one of them. My own
You're talking to the mic, Gail.
My own children, I have one here tonight supporting me, are living in the area, as I said in my opening remarks. I have a grandchild and one more on the way, and they will be going to our schools. I have spent approximately 10 years volunteering in our schools in various capacities. Some things change, but there's one thing that isn't, and that's caring for kids. And that's what I continue to do and would continue to do if I'm re-elected. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Gail. And Rob?
I personally have no children myself. Not everyone is fortunate to have children. My future stepson, though, and my future wife live in Vancouver, but they don't presently live in Coquitlam. However, I've been a scout leader in the community for over 20 years, and I consider all the youth that I work with my children. I've had many wonderful experiences in my running on the streets. Scott Rob, thank you for what you did for me. Thank you for being there. I don't believe you have to have children in the system to care about education, to care about children. You have to have a passion for education and lifelong learning. Having children is irrelevant.
Thank you, Rob. And Carol?
Hi, yes, I do have children currently in the system. As I mentioned earlier, my daughter's in grade 9, and she's in late French immersion at Charles Best, and my son's in grade 7, and also late French immersion in Banting. They've done the Montessori program from kindergarten to grade 5 when I was elected chairperson. So I had experience going throughout the system and all the different schools that have the Montessori program in it, and I was able to talk to a lot of those children in the classrooms and the parents, and making sure that they all knew that I was going to be there to support them and make sure that everything ran smoothly in their classrooms regarding the equipment. I also believe that they should all be the same, treated the same, no matter whereabouts they are in the system, and I want to...
Thank you, Carol. Chuck?
Well, the short answer is yes, I do have a daughter in grade 8 middle school. But since I have a little more time, I'll add to that. One thing that I've very much appreciated is the stress on social emotional learning in our district. It's been incredibly valuable for my daughter. It's tough being a 13-year-old girl. And those of you who have been one can identify with that, I'm sure. But the counseling, the youth workers, the administration has gone out of their way to assist in those ways, and it's a better determinant than IQ for future success.
Thank you, Chuck. That concludes the 3 questions for these 4 candidates. If you make your way back to your seats. Next up, we have Barb Hobson, Zon Chunluo, Sherry O'Neill, and Larry Ryan. And these candidates are also from Coquitlam. So again, I'll just remind you to please speak into the mic if you need to take a moment to adjust it. And if you watch the time up there, and my personal suggestion to scan the crowd, not just look over at the moderator. So we will start with the chamber question. And that will be, how do you propose to maintain a balanced budget while maintaining or increasing service levels in our schools? And we'll start with Barb.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it, please?
Yes, how do you propose to maintain a balanced budget while maintaining or increasing service levels in our schools?
Well, I think the balanced budget is the most important part of that. We don't have a choice as to our income from government. We certainly have an international education program that brings money into the school district, but that isn't secure. So what you need to do is make sure that your budget mirrors the amount of money that's coming in. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Sonju.
We can, by looking at the budget, and the international education is the part that we can work on our own. And I don't believe that you can ask for the money. And what many of us are parents here, and if you have children, you ask for whatever they want, and are you going to give them whatever they want? So you will tell them work on their own and trying to find a way and make more revenue and keep our current school program and services running. And that part, we can work on the international education revenue and to keep all the current program on.
Thank you, Sonju. Shay?
Well, maybe we should keep a better eye on the budget. I know that with all the PAC meetings that I've been to over the years, every single PAC meeting, we look at our statements of what's coming in and what's going out. And we know. So, you know, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors at the district because I'm not a trustee yet. But do they do that? Do they look at it on a monthly basis? Do they know what's coming in and going out? Are they asking questions on where it's going? I don't know, but it would be a good idea if they're not.
Thank you, Jerry. And Larry?
I think the issue with balancing the budget comes down to the trustees' job to go out and get more funding to start with. There's been very little increase. In fact, there's been a decrease in funding since the Liberal government has been in power. And we can all work on balancing the budget, but the number one job is going to be going out there and demanding that for the parents, for the students, we get more money in the system to begin with. In 2010, the base per student allotment was $6,740. That's gone up $160 since then. So they're not putting any new money in there. We need to make sure that they get that money in the budget.
Thank you, Larry. We'll now circle back to Barb, where we will go to the pigeonhole question. You will see it will work its way up to the center of the screen. If elected to office, will you seek to terminate the Confucius Institute programs like Toronto District School Board?
I saw that question online and I wondered about that. I do know that our district makes a significant amount of dollars from that program, and I think that it needs to be examined because other school districts have felt that there is a problem. But I wouldn't be considering terminating it unless we examined it properly.
Thank you, Barb. Sonju?
And look at the question, I heard that question earlier, and I'm a scientist. When anything happens and we ask a question and find evidence and find a solution and to solve it. So with this kind of thing, we need to open our mind and open our ears and listen to the public and make our decisions.
Thank you, Sonju. Jerry?
Well, I have to say I'm not really qualified to answer this question because I don't know enough about it, but if it's making the district money, I don't know why we would want to get rid of it. Just saying. What else to say?
Thank you, Chair. Larry?
I'm not in favor of necessarily cutting anything that the board is currently offering. I think that we have a number of smaller programs in our school district that we can offer such differentiated learning outcomes for all our people. And we can look at that and we can discuss that. But I think any opportunity where people have a chance to go and learn in a different way is a great thing in our school district. And so when we have these opportunities, we need to keep them, and we need to make sure that we don't allow them to get maybe pushed aside from, I don't know, some kind of interest group. I don't know.
Thank you, Larry. Once again, we'll cycle back to the bottom. We'll move to our next publicly submitted question. And that is, do you currently live in the city or village you are running to represent?
That's a pretty easy question. Yes, I've lived here since 1979 in Coquitlam.
Yeah,
Yes, Sandra?
Yeah. I live in Coquitlam.
I live in Coquitlam since 1998.
And Larry?
I do live in Coquitlam. I've been here for 16 years now. Me and my wife, we chose to move here to raise our son, who's currently in grade 10 in school. I don't know what I can add to that, but I want to use my time.
You don't use your time, we can get to another question.
Okay.
Yes. So we can cycle back to go to the next one on the screen, which is name one specific item you would advance to help the district with its current financial challenges.
Well, I would advance being able to, I would like to have the district have an audit and finance committee again. I think that that's an essential part of the governance model that should be in place in the district.
Thank you, Barbara.
But one thing I can think of, and I feel currently, if we want to increase our revenue for the school board, and we should engage more private sectors here. And like every part, like we said, for government funding, and other than asking, there's not much we can do. And with increased revenue on the school side, school district side, and we can have many ways to engage local business and through the collaboration and the cooperation to bring more revenue to the school board.
Thank you, Counselor. And Sherry?
Well, I have this suggestion at one of the open houses that I attended about the land use meetings. I'm from the film industry formerly, and there's a lot of filming that goes on in the schools and stuff. So I don't know. I see on the district website that you can contact the district regarding in schools, but there's a lot of money to be made there. So maybe, I mean, I agree with Barb for sure, but maybe to bring some extra money in, we could do a little bit more advertising, or somehow maybe in a free way get it out there, hand in a disc to the different production offices in town and try and bring filming out to our schools.
Thank you, Sherry. Larry?
I couldn't disagree with the last two speakers more. I think that we need to have the government fund our schools, because these are public schools. And we really need to make sure that they do not continue to get enabled to cut our funding, okay? We've been enabling them for too long. First it was parents, or first it was teachers. Teachers were taking money out of their pocket to put in school supplies. Then it was parents would use their fees. Now it's got to the point where you hear it in Vancouver, they're talking about the big Chevron scandal. We don't want corporations in our schools. We want the government to fund the schools. No more coming up with bake sales to make sure that we have what we need in our schools.
Thank you, Larry. That concludes this round for these four candidates. I'll ask you to return to your seats, please. We'll now round off the Coquitlam candidates with Dan Sowden, Jerry Wallace, and Jody Wickens. If you could make their way to the podiums. And I do want to thank all the candidates thus far for sticking to their time and encourage the rest of you to do so. Excellent. Thank you very much, ladies. We will now move into the chamber question, which is, well, Larry, you did a good segue to it. Given the current state of the school district's budget, would you accept corporate grants or donations? And under what circumstances would it be acceptable?
It would depend on what strings are attached. Chevron is a corporate sponsor that we are engaging with in School District 43. And as long as they are not using brand names and using children to sell their products, I have a problem with us using some of their money. They're part of the community, and public education is community. That doesn't mean that we do not have to lobby to the government to change the funding formulas that are happening right now in this province to make sure that the government is responsible for public education. Extras can come from the other corporations.
Thank you, Diane. Jerry?
Yes, we already have quite a few different organizations, both from the community standpoint and from corporations. They run after school programs in our schools, before school programs. They offer opportunities to come into the schools, help and aid. And I think if we can use our community to enhance the education system, I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to see outside corporations coming in and being paid, and I certainly don't want to see their name being used as advertisement. I think it's important to look to the kids and see what do they have to offer that can already enhance what we do, and also to offer more opportunities for students for learning and outside activities.
Thank you, Jerry. Jody?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Given the current state of the school district's budget, would you accept corporate grants or donations? Under what circumstances would it be acceptable?
I believe that I grew up in Canada, and I believe that public education should be publicly funded. And I think where Chevron, the Fuel Your Schools campaign is concerned, is it's a PR campaign, and I don't think that it has a place in our classrooms and with our students. I'm a small business owner with my husband, and I understand our community, and I understand giving back to schools. And I think that we need to safeguard our children as much as possible. Number one priority is making sure that our government appropriately funds public education.
Thank you, Jerry. We'll go back to Diane. We'll move into our publicly submitted question, and it will come up on the screen there. There it is. How do you plan to address the present financial challenges in the district to ensure maximum dollars target the classroom?
I think one of the first things we need to do is to continue to put pressure on the government to change the funding formula, which our chair has been instrumental in meeting with the minister, and it's actually being looked at right now, because it has to be funded in a fair way to begin with. Also, we need to make sure that we are a partner with other people as well. We were talking about other social programs that are in our district and how they help with after-school programs and with Aboriginal ed. Those are some of the things that we need to do. Also, I'd like to be on the finance committee if I'm on for another 4-year term.
Thank you, Diane. Jerry?
Well, I am on the finance committee, and we undertook 3 years ago to hire a forensic accountant for the district who did a thorough review of our finances. What came of that was 14 recommendations that the district is now taking a look at and implementing, probably over half of them. We still have a ways to go. The other area that we concentrated on was we hired a new secretary-treasurer, and with that we have come to do a whole new budget process. And for those of you that don't know, the finances come from the province by the end of March. We were starting our process in February. So money was coming through, then more money was coming through. We really didn't have a complete picture. So now we've changed it to the whole month of April. The budget's there, we take a look at it and we analyze it. So
Thank you, Jerry.
I think it'll help. Thanks.
Jody?
So other than finding more creative and inspirational ways to ensure that our government appropriately funds education, I believe that there are a couple things that need to be done. Abiding by the recommendations that were outlined in the forensic audit, for one. Number two, the Auditor General in BC put out an audit on school board governance, and I think our district really needs to look at that audit and ensure that we are following those things. And what I think is really important is knowing best practice and evidence-based principles in education so that we know our education dollars are being spent effectively and appropriately in the classroom as much as possible.
Thank you, Jody. And now back to Diane, and we'll see the question will pop up on the screen. It is, I'll read it anyway. Are you in any way supported, endorsed, or financially aided by any union, political party, or corporate entity? Or are you an independent candidate?
I'm a totally independent candidate.
Thank you, Diane. Jerry?
I'm an independent candidate, and I guess my belief is I don't think there should be politics in the classroom. I really support putting kids first and seeing how we can best meet their needs and looking after the support workers, the teachers, and our whole body of the community that educates kids.
Thank you, Jerry. And Jody?
I am endorsed by the QP Union, and when that endorsement was offered to me, I asked if there were strings attached, and there weren't. I am not a wealthy candidate, and so that I cannot fund a campaign on my own. And the goal for me is to impact the students and families, teachers, support staff in our district. In order to accomplish that, I need to run a successful campaign. In order to run a successful campaign, you need money. I will take money from anyone if it doesn't have strings attached to it. So if anybody would like to donate to my campaign,
Okay, thank you, Jerry. That concludes the questions for these three candidates. I'll ask you to return to your seats. That also concludes the candidates from Coquitlam. We will now move into candidates from Port Coquitlam. We'll start with Liam Coughlin, Chris King, Judy Shira, and Michael Thomas, if you can make your way to the podiums. And just as a point of information for everybody in the room, that last question, and you'll notice didn't have votes for it. That's because it came from the crowd. We had put it here. So there will be some of those that will cycle through just so that everybody is aware of that. All right, so we'll start with Liam, and we'll go to one of the chamber questions here. So what timeline do you envision for the start of construction for new schools and educational infrastructure on Burke Mountain?
So the reality is of funding from the government, as most people know, there's basically no money for new schools. So that's not something that the school board can dictate. If they want to close one of the existing schools or more than one of the existing schools, they can open up a new one. Many districts are facing this challenge. There's many new developed areas in the province that have no servicing of public schools, and their choice is to close down other ones. I don't think closing down other ones is an attractive solution, and the reality is Coquitlam's going to wait for something in that area for some time, unfortunately, based on current funding.
Thank you, Liam. And Chris?
Yeah, it's similar to that. The timelines here are somewhat out of our control. The land, probably not until 1917, a few more years of this, but this goes back to a bigger problem around development and actually allocating space for schools in the new developments, and also ensuring from the government, going back to proper funding of education, to ensure that there are schools built in communities to put kids into, and rather than load up, for example, Lee right now that's overloaded with students that come from Burke Mountain. That's a huge issue, and I know that the board has advocated for that on a consistent basis, but again, sometimes deaf ears are what they receive as opposed to an understanding of what's happening to the students in Coquitlam and Port Coquitlam.
Thank you, Chris. And Judy.
We have our funding envelope approved. We have staff that are filing the papers, and we should have the school within 3 to 4 years. Our staff have backed up everything so that as the provincial government asks for those reports, we submit them on the timelines. It is the provincial government that gives us our funding. We have been granted this with the city in a land swap, and so we've been able to leverage that. And the city has been advocating, the city of Coquitlam, the board, and the Liberal government, and the parents up there on Burke Mountain have been very strategic in lobbying for schools. So good news, it's coming.
Thank you, Judy. Michael?
Yes, thank you. Burke Mountain is certainly a challenge. I have 3 kids on Northside Porco schools, Irvine specifically, and I know we have portables sitting at the lot. Lee is also in a similar situation, and they are overcrowded. We certainly do need to get at least 1 more elementary school in Burke Mountain. Smiling Creek was recently announced, and that's terrific, but there's definitely a challenge and a timeline that we're going to have to go through. I think it's one of the issues that we really need to address, and I think my experience on the Smart Growth Committee here in Port Coquitlam is that we need to be densifying and developing in areas which already have schools. We've seen Poco schools closing because the areas around them don't have the students anymore. Well, students are coming in other areas.
Thank you, Michael.
And we're having to build new schools.
And we will cycle back to Liam. We will now ask one of the publicly submitted questions. It will pop up on the screen. Do you support some type of merit adjustment and therefore having to place a performance assessment for teachers, therefore a more effective way to reward excellent teachers?
Well, that's somewhat of a philosophical question right now because the board doesn't have the ability to do that. The employee group rejects financial recognition of differing abilities. So really but the reality is there's a range of skill and experience in teachers as there is in students. So the question is, how do we support the needs? So one of the good things that Coquitlam does is has annual reviews. If those are good working documents to find out, just as we do with students, what kind of supports the teachers need to better deliver. That's something that can be reinforced. And we really need to celebrate.
Thank you, Liam. Chris?
Absolutely not. This is actually a negative aspect to improve teaching in the classroom. And in Coquitlam, the union CTA has worked very well with the district in providing programs and assistance to teachers to make that happen. We're very proactive in that regard in Coquitlam, and that's the way to go, because teachers, as was mentioned here, this is a complex job, and to actually put a checklist on what a teacher does or how learning happens is impossible. It is. This is a very complex situation and requires collaboration, discussion, and working with teachers and schools.
Our teachers do get reviewed by the principals in the school. We have an exceptional group of educators in School District 43. They are rewarded by bringing locally developed programs to us. They are given mentor programs where they help each other succeed and share in their successes. They bring these things to the board table, and it's infectious. It's infectious with us, and consequently, our children are excited about learning, and that's why we are growing and are the lighthouse district that we are. These kinds of programs promote from within, and very proud of it.
Thank you, Judy. Michael?
Thank you. You know, I think there's a number of different ways we can enhance education, and you know, I'm not sure that performance-based pay is necessarily the most effective route to go. You know, we need to make sure that we have the student supports in place to make sure that students aren't falling through the cracks. We have a number of great educators here in Port Coquitlam, and you know, I think we need to keep focused on promoting and enhancing the programs and systems that we do have in place, not cherry picking, you know, off a checklist and tearing people down in that sense. I'd rather see us build people up. including most especially our students.
Thank you, Michael. We will now move back to Liam and to another one of our pigeonhole questions. Please name one specific decision the Board of Education has made in the past 3 years which you disagree with.
I think all the incumbents will know it's not a party being a trustee the last number of years. When, for example, QP contracts get negotiated provincially and then don't get funded. So the reason there's not 100 people up here looking for these 9 jobs or 1,000 as would be in private industry is because it's very often a very thankless job. So I do give hats off to those who have struggled through the funding challenges they've had. But one of the things that could have been handled a lot better in the past year is, so a lot of the funding is per pupil funding. And so the board didn't realize until it was too late that their projections of students enrollment.
Thank you, Ben. Chris?
This is like asking of all your 3 kids, which one do you love the most? And this is a difficult one, but I'm going to choose one that I think that's it hurts the heart more than anything else, and that was the clawback of benefits to the QP retired workers to the benefit program, and then charging them more for their actual benefits and their pensions. So this was a huge thing because these are people on fixed incomes, and now they have less benefits and they have to pay more for them. This is a decision to bring back $1.4 million. I don't know the exact number, but it's over $1 million cost to cut those kind of costs. It's not just what they did, but how they did it without any consultation and discussion with QP to see if they can negotiate some kind of settlement on that issue.
We work together really well as a board. We respect each other's opinions, and we agree to disagree many times. I think the main thing was the last year's budget and people tweaking it at the last minute, and the gives and the takes, and having to decide it. The money has to be going into the classroom. 92% of our budget goes to salaries. That's a really small number to work with for programs and to provide children to meet their successes and our vulnerable kids. And we're not going to see the effect right away, but when we do see it, it's going to be the fallout into the community is going to be devastating.
Thank you, Judy. Michael?
Thank you. Some great answers. I don't want to just repeat the same thing, so I'll touch on something a little different. Very recent, actually. In the last couple of weeks, our district has named our new superintendent. As many of you know, our previous superintendent is retiring at the end of this year, and obviously the process needed to start. But I don't believe 3 weeks before the general election for the Board of Education should this current board have named a new trustee. I think it's they're effectively handcuffing the next board for the next 4 years potentially to their decision. And I think obviously it needed to be shortlisted, but the final decision should have been done.
All right, so those are the return to your seats, and by way of reminder for the crowd, November 15th, you'll vote for 2 of those trustees. We'll now move along to the trustees for Port Moody, candidates for Port Moody. I beg your pardon. We have Melissa Hines, Jeanette Jackson, Charlie Liu, Lisa Park, and Alexander Peter Swistak. All right, so again, a moment to adjust the mics to make sure. Jeanette, is yours going to be able to talk into it? Perfect, okay. So we'll start with Melissa Hines, and we will ask the chamber question, which is, what skills, experience, or professional expertise do you bring to the trustee role in working in the collaborative environment of School District 43?
Great, thank you for that. I bring experience in volunteering in schools for over 20 years. As a DPAC president at Mountain Meadows Elementary School, I have 6 years on the DPAC executive, the last 2 as chair. I work in a variety of collaborative ways with all partner groups as my role as board chair. I have a vast experience with the BC School Trustees Association over the last 7 years on a board of directors, and working with all school boards across the province. So I have a collaboration, I am a team player, I listen and get a balance of input. I feel that I bring a collaborative voice to my job. I take it very seriously. I think the school district has a...
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks.
And Jeanette?
Can you please repeat the question?
What skills, experience, or professional expertise do you bring to the trustee role in working in the collaborative environment of School District 43?
Sure. So over the last 15 years, I've been an entrepreneur. I was actually a thought leader in clean technology here in Vancouver. I was throughout North America out there raising money for a new innovative technology that could change the way we operate. That same outlook and vision is what I can bring to the board. And along with that comes strategic planning. When you're out raising money, you need to show that you have a great plan to fund. I know how to put good strategic plans together with clear initiatives so that everyone in the organization is focused on a common goal, which in this case is ensuring we have quality public education for all children in our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Charlie?
I'm a professional engineer. My job is to work collaboratively with all the members on my team. I troubleshoot, I solve problems, that's what I do. I have to look at problems several different ways and find the best solution. Additionally, I serve on 2 international standards committees currently. If you think that board meetings can get heated, you should try a standards committee because nobody gets along. In those committees, I've learned to work very collaboratively with people who have very different ideas and agendas.
Thank you, Charlie. Lisa?
Sorry, I went too far. Okay. All right, so definitely the first one, my teaching skills. I'm a teacher, so I, work with lots of different, the grade levels. And so I had to teach grade 3 students at Granby Elementary School in Red Deer, and I had to deal with the special needs students who had ADHD and autism. It challenged me emotionally and mentally, as they required more patience and motivation. But from this experience, I was able to become a strong person to advocate for the students who required extra care and support. And definitely, the teaching skills. And I lived in Korea, and I went to school for 3 years, actually, sorry, 6 years. So I definitely, can bring that international department, that programs to.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yes.
I'm going to focus on 2 aspects of my experience. Number 1, I've worked for over 3 years at a learning center, so I've had a great opportunity to speak with students, public teachers, as well as parents. So I'm well aware of the impact that chronic underfunding and the slashing of teacher jobs has upon our students. Moreover, I've also been studying political science for over 3 years, so I've developed a strong foundation in public policy. I know how to synthesize reports, synthesize information, and this has also afforded me the importance of constituent outreach. We need to outreach with all constituents, regardless of whether they have children. Parents are important, but this is a growing group of people, and they're going to do their own advocacy. They're going to advocate to the provincial government not to fund it if we say you can't talk unless you have children.
Thank you, Alexander. So we'll move back now to Melissa and move into the pigeonhole questions. Let's see it pop up on the screen here. We're going to go with, you'll see it on the far right. It's, are you endorsed by a union, MLA, or MP? If so, how do you provide an independent voice as a trustee?
Well, I'm not endorsed by anybody.
I have never been endorsed in my 12 years as a school board trustee. I have been completely independent and individually minded. I listen to a balance of input from all stakeholder groups when making decisions, but not endorsed by anyone.
Thank you, Melissa. Well, now, Jeanette?
Sure. In my journey to decide that I was going to run for school trustee in Fort Moody, I was engaging many members of the community to hear their perspective, all the teachers at the schools, different union groups, businesses, because the biggest question is,
Do we want to tax more to get more resources, or do we need to look at restructuring how we have the education, how we educate the kids to make sure that we're using the funds as efficiently as possible? In that journey, I was honored to be endorsed by CUPE. They are your local union here in Port Moody, the Tri-Cities. They expand all over. And when they were offering me funds to help fund my campaign, I was happy and honored to take those funds.
Thank you, Jeanette. Charlie?
I am running a self-funded independent campaign. I have paid for everything myself, which is why you won't see any road lawn signs, because I couldn't afford them. I think it was important to run as an independent because I want to represent the families of school-age children, the parents, the people who are the primary stakeholders in the education system. I want to be their voice and not the voice of somebody else, or have any risk of seeming like I might have an alternative agenda.
Thank you, Charlie. Lisa?
I am proud to be actually endorsed by CUPE and MLA because it means that I am doing a great job and showing a hard work and being part of the community. And I'll make the decision with the 8 other school trustees, and definitely I'll make a decision with the stakeholders.
Thank you, Lisa.
I'm a proudly independent candidate. I've lived in Port Moody my entire life, and so the only endorsement I seek is the voter of Port Moody. Endorsements in municipal politics, this is a dangerous issue because I've been speaking with people at the doorstep and they say there's a perception that this is slate politics. 7 out of 9 of the positions are planned to be filled by CUPE candidates because there's 7 candidates who are backed by CUPE. It's funny, in the Tri-City News, this is just a funny thing, this very morning, there was an op-ed piece saying that candidates who accept campaign contributions from CUPE cannot be objective when conflicting interests come up, and that is true. I will be loyal to the people of Port Moody because they are my first priority, the students and the people of Port Moody.
Thank you very much, Andrew. We'll circle back to Melissa, and we will ask the question that is popping up on the screen, and that is, how do you propose to fulfill the need for more educational infrastructure on Burke Mountain?
Well, in my role as board chair and working very closely with the city and the provincial government, we were, as you know, just been told, we've been able to secure an elementary school site at Smiling Creek. What we also don't know, though, is that we've been working very hard on looking for other parcels of land to build another middle school and an elementary school up there. These things take time. Obviously, we need the approval of the ministry. There's a whole process to go through. But as a trustee and the board, the current board, we have actively lobbied MLAs, provincial government, working with our cities, our staffs working with staffs, and trying to get the acquisition and the approval from the provincial government forward.
Jeanette?
So for me, in any role as such, there's 2 key issues. The first is communication. So we really need to be doing more, engaging the community and getting their feedback on where they're moving, where they're moving around, where they're going to be living, so that all of the new infrastructure that we're building is focused in the right areas. The second piece is collaboration. My understanding is when I review the 3 years of minutes from the board, I see that there's really not a lot of collaboration with the city. Meetings are not attended. Our board meetings are currently on the same evenings of our city meetings. As trustees, we need to be representatives of our school district and working with the councils and every other group so we can take that information back to the table and we are really collaborating for the best interest of our students.
Jeanette.
We need to, obviously, Burke Mountain's a special situation, well, not special, but it reflects the growth and pretty explosive growth in that area over the last few years. We need to work better with developers and cities to see where that growth's coming and get ahead of it. Now we're a little too late to get ahead of it now, so now we have to be creative, look at the situation, find the land that we can use to build the needed schools that we need there, and work with all the stakeholders and really get a good communication, get a good relationship with the city to try to make things work.
Thank you, Charlie. Lisa?
I think they've said, all the ideas. So I'm going to say that parents, I believe that parents and school boards, I think, should be with one voice and
calling on the provincial government to commit to adequate funding as a, we just mean we ask for funding from the government. I think that's the one, that's the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Alexander? As with all expansions of educational infrastructure, we need to work closely with the provincial government to lobby to make sure that we have the necessary funds. Also, too, we need to work with city council. We need to hear their ideas. It has to be a holistic approach to issues like infrastructure. Development should be financed by developers. We need to ensure that we're not losing too much money pursuing educational infrastructure. And when it's needed, we need to listen to a whole variety of people to make sure that the proper infrastructure is in place to meet the unique needs of each community.
Thank you, Alexander. That concludes the question and answer section for the candidates for school trustees on Port Meeting. We'll now invite the candidates for school trustee of Amor Marcara, so Holly Butterfield, Gwen Schuth, and Carrie Palmer Isaac. Do you want to slide down actually one more? Holly, everybody go, no, the other way. Yeah, everybody go to stage left. Go to your left. Okay, and then, so it's going to be, should be Holly Butterfield, Gwen Schuth, and Carrie Palmer Isaac in the order it goes in. Yeah, okay. All right, there we go. So we'll start with the chamber question. So School District 43 is the largest employer in the Tri-Cities with a budget of, well, in excess of $250 million. What qualifications do you have to be a trustee of this organization? So Holly, if you start us off.
Okay, thanks. I'm actually a banker by trade, so I bring my understanding of finance and budgets, and I think that's really helpful. We have complicated and intricate budgets. We deal with a lot of money. We are the largest employer in the Tri-Cities. I also have a human resources background, which is also very helpful. I have run a small business. I ran a daycare. I employed ECE trained staff when I didn't need to. I made sure I paid them the living wage when most people just paid minimum wage to their staff. I didn't work at the daycare. I worked in finance downtown. I understand how to work with employees. In addition, I did a lot of volunteering in my community. I won the Amor Community Spirit Award. I believe in volunteering.
Thank you, Holly. Gwen.
Yes, I think it's interesting out of that budget. Yes, there's a big amount for salaries because, of course, this is a labor-intensive profession. But out of that budget, there is almost 100 million of that goes to services, local suppliers. Not all local suppliers, but lots of suppliers, many of them local. And those teachers that have all that salary, as you saw very well during the strike, they also are part of supporting the business community. So I have a background as a teacher, 24 years as a trustee, 26 as a teacher, and I know how the decisions we make.
Thank you, Gwen. Okay.
Yes, well, in council, the municipal budget is made up of.
Just keep it
The municipal budget, of course, is made up of a huge portion of salary. I would actually guesstimate that about 90% of our operating costs goes with staffing. And I'd like to say that I actually have a very good relationship with our staff. I've been criticized actually for working with small budgets, under the $2 million mark. But I'd actually like to mention that I am a member of the Regional Planning Committee at Metro Board, on the Metro Board level. And the budget for Metro Board is just over $650 million. So I do have some experience with higher level budgets as well.
Thank you very much, Carrie. We'll now move into the public questions, and we'll be picking one from the audience, and that is, how often do you visit the schools in your area that you are either responsible for or connected to? If elected, what time commitment weekly will you be putting towards your trustee activities? Holly?
Okay. I love to visit my schools. It's great to see the dynamic work that's going on. I like to be invited. I don't think it's appropriate to drop in on a school uninvited. They deserve, it's like dropping in on somebody's house uninvited. You never know what they're doing, and you never know if it's convenient. So I put an invitation out to all my schools and asking them to invite me. So I drop in regularly when they have something that they want me to see, if they have, I'm there if there's just, to talk to the principals, if there's something they want to talk about. I put in, oh gosh, 40 hours a week sometimes, other weeks 4. It just depends on what the week is, whether the board meeting, what the issues in the community are. You have to be incredibly flexible. I think it would be hard if you had a full-time job.
Thank you, Holly. Gwen?
When I was a trustee, it was a full-time trusteeship for most of that time. And I'm in schools all the time right now, so I'm very close to what is happening, and I know how that translates when you have to do budgets. And I would intend to do the same if I'm elected.
Thank you, Gwen. Gary?
Well, I'm there as often as my 2 teenage daughters will allow me to be at this point in time, and I think if you have a 13 and 16-year-old, you can probably relate to that. I'm joking. I'm the PAC chair at Eagle Mountain. I'm there every other day. I don't plan to discontinue that. I'm very, very actively involved in fundraising in my school. We're a brand new school, and with all brand new schools, we have 0 in our PAC account, and we also have very, very limited resources. We have no sports equipment, no instruments, a whole variety pack of other needs. So I will continue to be there to fundraise and help meet those needs on an ongoing basis.
Thank you, Gary. We'll move back to Holly for the next question. It is, what is your plan for promoting trades training in schools? Do you support an expansion of the ACE IT program?
I think the ACE program is really great for students. It's been very successful in our district. The kids that graduate from it are very proud, and they go on to do really well in the community and in their lives. I think it's great. Anything I can do to support it would be great. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Thank you very much, Holly. Gwen?
Well, I would like to make sure that the facilities, curriculum, and teachers are available to do trades instruction well. And I know that over the years, this has been declining quite seriously. And so we want to have safe and productive programs for the kids. And that's going to be a challenge.
Gwen? Carrie?
Of course, I support programs like this. How could we not support programs that don't encourage diversity and to bring ideas for learning and concepts for learning? I take part in the grad transition interviews at the Heritage Woods, and I enjoy them immensely, and I love seeing the different options that students have gone through in the course of their education.
Thank you very much, Gary. That concludes this section of the question and answer from the North Belcara candidates for school trustee. And now, as a thank you and a reward for the fact that we've been so diligent in sticking to our timelines, we actually do have an opportunity to offer the candidates 45 seconds closing statements. So if we'd like to start with, does anybody have any objection to that? Okay, seeing none and barring any, then Gail, if you'd like to start us off, we'll have the clock set for 45 seconds. You can use the middle podium again. If you need to take a moment to raise it, please feel free. Do you want to raise it from the middle of it there? I think there's a knob at your waist level. You should be able to turn. You want to use the one on either side of you instead? It's a little bit higher. Good. Thanks, Charlie. There we go. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Charlie. There you go.
I guess I had prepared a personal statement a while ago, just as I was thinking about things, and I will state that for you now. I believe that the position of school trustee is one that you earn through an inherent passion for students and public education. I worked in schools and volunteered in schools for years. I never aspired to be a politician My interest was as a parent who wished to know more about what was taking place in my children's schools. My focus remains on students, education policies, initiatives, and programs change, yet the main purpose of our schools remains the same, to provide an education in a safe and caring environment.
Thank you, Gail. Rob got it.
First of all, thank you for coming out. My name is Rob Bottas. I believe in leading by example. I'm a consensus builder and I'm a team player. For real leadership and someone to lead by example and work collaboratively with anyone who's elected on November 15th, vote for Rob Bottas. From Coquitlam, I care, and thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Rob. Carol Quinlan.
Again, my name is Carol Cahoon, and I want to thank you again for coming out tonight. I also want to make sure that everyone knows that I want to focus on bringing greater fiscal accountability to the school board, also fair and equal representation for all involved stakeholders, for the teachers, principals, students, support staff, and every other stakeholder involved in School District 43. I look forward to your support on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Chuck Dennison.
Thanks again. I may be able to be briefer here. I've heard the trustee position as a part-time position that becomes a full-time position. And I've seen that with a lot of the people that are presently on the board. It takes time. It takes, of course, commitment, but it takes time. It takes time to understand what's going on, to read, to talk to people, to understand. You can't just show up at the meetings every 3 weeks and expect to make good decisions and be able to pull your weight. That will be me.
Thank you.
I mean,
Next up is Barb Hobson.
Thank you, and thank you to the Chamber for organizing this evening. I believe it's been a very interesting evening for all involved. I've lived in Coquitlam for more than 30 years, raised my children in the community, and I've been an active volunteer. Throughout my career years, I worked in a variety of fields, including small business, high-tech, education, and I eventually retired from BCIT. I have the time to make a commitment to be a full-time participant, and I'll have to tell you, when I was on the school board, it was 40 to 60 hours a week, and I would continue to do that. I hope you'll support me on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Next is Anshu Luo.
To me, school trustee is a responsibility, and we need accountability and the transparency of our funding. From what I see right now, for 3 years in a row, and then every year on the budget deficit, that tells us the problem stays there. If we don't see that as a problem, it won't go away on its own. We have to fix it, and we have to do something, and we need to change it for our school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Next is Sherry O'Neill.
Okay,
I'm not good at this at all, as you've seen tonight. I got halfway through my opening speech. I had to leave on some nervous. What I am good at is any job that I take on. An example of that is volunteering at the school that my kids go to as hot lunch coordinator and martial arts coordinator in raising over $41,000 in 4 years for the school. So I put my whole heart into whatever my job is. I'm sorry I haven't come across that good tonight. I'm nervous. And being a trustee is not standing here in front of people talking. It's advocating for the kids, and that's what I'll do. Thank you.
Next is Larry Rudd.
Thank you to the Chamber for doing this evening, and thank you to everybody who came out. I am not a small business owner. I am not an entrepreneur. Education is my business. I've been doing this for a very long time. I'm not backed by CUPE. I'm not backed by the Coquitlam teachers. I'm not backed by the BCTF, but I do believe that education and my background will be a large asset in what I can bring to this job. I am truly independent on this campaign. I am paying the bill myself as well. So you can look at my slogan as a parent, a teacher, and a public school advocate and know that I am all of those things. November 15th, vote for Larry Ryan.
Thank you, Larry. Next is Diane Saab.
I'm Diane Sowden, and excuse me, it's been a privilege to serve School District 43 since 2005, and I'd be honored to have the opportunity to serve you for another 4 years. I promise that I am committed to the children and youth in our community. My whole adult life has been dedicated to children, particularly the most vulnerable children in our community. And the reason we need to support the most vulnerable in the classroom is because they have the biggest impact on the learning outcomes of all the other students in that classroom. If we don't support them, no one gets supported. Also, I am committed to you that I will be fighting very hard for provincial funding to change, and that the funding formula is presented properly, that we
Thank you, Diane. Next is Jerry Wallace.
As we approach the next 4 years, it will be important to have experienced and knowledgeable trustees. I say this because the board has just hired a new superintendent, and we have openings for 2 new assistant superintendents, a relatively new secretary-treasurer, and there will be at least 2 new trustees on the board. If there ever is a time that we need stability, it is now. I have served for 7 terms and can bring that experience to the table. Please vote for me, Jerry Wallace, on November 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Next is Jody Wiggins.
Thanks to everybody for coming this evening. I really appreciate it. I think we all do. The best thing I ever did in my life was have children. And one of the best experiences I've ever had was go to school. And I think we can do better for our students and our kids. I work with many different families across the Tri-Cities, and all of the families that I work with are concerned about public education. I believe we need a board that's as diverse as our classrooms, and we need trustees who understand what families and classrooms experience day in and day out. I promise to bring that to the table. My name is Wickens. It's at the very bottom. Please remember. Thank you.
We're now moving to the Port Coquitlam candidates, starting with Liam Coquitlam.
I'm a builder and longtime community volunteer. I founded the Tri-City Female Ice Hockey Association. I've been a head coach in lacrosse, hockey, and soccer for 11 years, a hockey referee for the past 20 years, a church reader for the past 25 years. I served at the request of the mayor 2 terms on the Port Coquitlam Community Safety Committee. And in my work life, I wrote the business plan, sold $1 million sponsorship, and set up the Bell Performing Arts Center in Surrey, as well as a whole bunch of other projects. I was very proud of the added value for students. 5 seconds, okay. Running a green campaign, so there's no brochures outside, and there's a typo on this thing here, there's an L.
Thank you, Liam, that's the 5 seconds. Next is Chris King.
We need to recognize that public education is a cornerstone to a democratic society. It is a vehicle used to create safe, healthy, and vibrant communities. The neighborhood school provides so much to families, not only to connect them with their neighbors in the community, but also to the services and programs to enhance the lives of their children, and a means to feel a sense of belonging within the city. Public education is everyone's business. We're now at a critical point of underfunding of this system. It is a critical point for those families and children who have lost the services of the speech pathologists, the school psychologist, the counselor, the librarian, the youth worker, and the educational assistant. It is critical for those families that have lost programs that provide support for living and learning. We, as a community, need to work together to ensure that our children and youth are given access to the educational programs.
Thank you, Chris.
They are due.
Next is Judy Sherlock.
Thank you to the Chamber for sponsoring us tonight. I really appreciate this. It's about schools and community and heightening awareness about the job that we do as trustees. And thank you to everybody that's running, because there's so much apathy in the past. This has ignited our job as school trustees. I'm a mother of 2 boys that have graduated from School District 43. They're both post-secondary degrees. I and my husband have had a small business in Port Coquitlam for over 20 years. We employ anywhere from 3 to 15 contractors at any given time. I deal with budgets, I deal with computers. It's an IT business, and really would appreciate your vote on November the 15th. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next is Michael Thomas.
Well, did everyone have fun tonight? I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for coming out this evening and getting engaged in what's quite possibly the biggest trustees election we've had in a generation. You know, I encourage each and every one of you to get to know your candidates from your respective cities. I have been and will continue to be an active member of the community here in Port Coquitlam. I have kids in our schools, I have business and civic experience, and I know I will bring the type of balanced experience that we need on our school board. So please come visit me on Facebook, track me down, Thomas from Poco, or thomasfrompoco.ca or facebook.com/thomasfortrustee. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. That concludes the candidates from Port Coquitlam. We'll now move into the candidates from Port Moody, starting with Melissa Hines.
Well, I'd like to start by saying thanking the Chamber for putting this event on this evening. I think it's the only opportunity that school trustees have had to voice their opinions and telling you a little bit about themselves. My priority as a school trustee and as a parent of 3 children is always to make sure that all children of all capabilities have the right to education that enhances their achievement and makes them succeed in life. And that's our shared responsibility. I believe as my job as a school trustee for the last 12 years, I have championed that. I'm a dedicated, loyal, hardworking person, and I really believe in the Coquitlam School District and the education that we deliver. It's the lighthouse district, as you heard, but it's the top of the province as far as
Thank you, Melissa. That's the expiration of your time. Next, we have Jeanette Jackson.
Right, I get to finish. So my name is Jeanette Jackson, and I am passionate about great public education for all our kids. I want to work with all of you and the new board to advocate for the right funding for public education. With all due respect, we've had the same people for over 12 years in Port Moody, some for 22 years. It's time for a change. We need some fresh energy and innovation in our thinking for the board. I'd like to see transparency. I'd like to see accountability, communication, and collaboration. We hear about reports on where the money's gone. Let's show them to the public so that we know what information we all have together. We need to work together. We can ask some questions across the board at the government level, within the schools. Let's work together. My name is Jeanette Jackson, Port Moody. Vote for change.
Thank you, Jeanette. Next, we have Charlie Lou.
Hi, I'm Charlie Luke. I'm really excited to be here for two big reasons. My daughters, like every other parent, they're the best. I think they're the best thing that I ever did. And I'm here because I believe that public education needs a voice for the parents and the other people who think that their kids are the best thing ever too. We need to get leadership in the school trustees who are going to say no more pay hikes to school trustees, no more to the deficits in the budget, and yes to getting the word out to communities, yes to being transparent, yes to bringing the communities and making this your school board and your school district. My name is Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Next is Lisa Park.
It's time for new ideas and a fresh voice. If elected, I will work hard and smart to achieve better fiscal accountability, a safer and healthier learning environment, modernize classrooms, and improve access to programs and services. My heart is in serving our students, parents, and educators in our community. My name is Lisa Park, and I ask both for confidence on November 15th. Thank you. It's not Rocky 25 or 25, it's Lisa Park. Please remember.
Thank you, Lisa. Next is Alexandria Peters Swistek.
There's a very simple reason why I'm running for school trustee. It's because I'm concerned about the erosion of public education in our district. Our district is chronically underfunded. Our students are receiving $500 less per student than the provincial average. 12 years of teacher layoffs, this continuing cycle of layoff and recall needs to be brought to a close. And I am young. I am 21 years old. I do not have children. But I believe in holistic constituent outreach. Everyone needs to be listened to, regardless of whether or not they have children, because public education is the foundation of a strong and stable community. Inclusiveness, productivity, and general well-being, upward mobility, these are all things that are consequences of public education, and that is what I will protect.
Thank you to all the candidates from Port Moody. Now invite the candidates from ML Quacara, starting with Holly Butterfield. That would be great.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think this has been a very exciting night. It's really interesting to hear all the enthusiasm. I'm glad to hear people excited about education. Without education, our society is nothing. I have to say, I love Chris King's speech. I endorse everything he said. It sounds great. I'm so excited. Okay, I live in Amaranth. I'm very excited and I'm very hopeful that I'll be reelected. I'm passionate about it, about being a trustee. I believe that what we do is very, very important. And I hope that I have an opportunity to continue to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Holly. Next is Gwen Shu.
Thank you. Bravo, Alexander. So I will just say, again, thank you so much for your interest tonight. Underfunding needs to stop. And a very big job for the board will be to engage the public, you and all the other public members, and particularly non-parents who don't get to see the great work that goes on in schools every day. We need to bring this to you so that you can support the system to stop the underfunding, so that you can understand what the consequences of it are. And I think tonight has been a wonderful night to know that this many people care this much, and that caring is going to spread out.
That's the expert at the top. Next, we have Carrie Palmer-Isaac.
I want to start by saying that you're really lucky as a board. You're all moving in the same direction towards the same goal, delivering outstanding quality education and to be a model for other districts. It's very much unlike councils. The budget, however, worries me. Municipal budgets have gone through a lot of changes and we now have long-term capital replacement plans. My council has managed to build reserves that consistently increase over the last 6 years. This is experience that I bring to the table. I know that I will never be more in touch with the needs of students, families, and my community than I am right now today. And that is why I've chosen to run for school trustee. Thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you very much. I'll be too loud. Just so you don't forget about me as I walk up here. Let's see this view is. I haven't experienced this one yet. Yes, that's right. So behind the curtain back there, I was the one moderating. In closing, what I'd like to do is just remind us of some key points that came out of the introduction at the beginning from the BC School Trustees Association. And those are that trustees engage their community, listen to their communities, report back to their communities, and are directly accountable to the people they serve. What we at the Chamber of Commerce hope happens tonight is that we facilitated this engagement, reporting, and accountability. Now, I'd like to conclude by telling you a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce, those that brought this to you and all of the candidates together. Our purpose of the Tri-Cities Chamber of Commerce is to connect, educate, and advocate on behalf of businesses in our community. We hope we did that tonight. And I would remind you that if you are a small business owner, feel free to stop by and talk to any of us in the lobby while you're talking to the candidates. I hope tonight was productive. I hope all of you got something out of it, and I hope you'll all show up on November 15th to vote. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so